This is Advice for Life with Lynn, Season 1, Episode 5. And it's so good, everybody. There are 2 parts to this baby.
So where are you living in a pretense? Where are you
Faking it?
faking it?
Today's issue, how to manifest what you want.
You're listening to Advice for Life with Lynn, an award-winning interviewer and a woman riddled with issues herself, Lynn Martinez. You have problems? She has answers. Getting down to the nitty-gritty with people who know what they're talking about. With the best advice on relationships, career, your body, kids, sex, and everything else in between. This is Advice for Life with Lynn.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. How many times have you guys said to yourself, I can never get what I want? Or, why are all the men in my life jerks? Or women? Or, life is hard. It's just the way it is. All right, I'll go first. I've said all those things at least once in my life. Maybe not the jerk thing. But you can also throw in there, I'm dumb, nothing looks good on me, and I'll never save enough money. So today we're going to talk about manifestation. I love that word. It sounds like magic. And it sounds like a really granola word, but what it is the belief that we create every single thing in our lives. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And many times, most of us, we create this without even knowing it. Unconscious creation, I call it. But the truth is, and science proves, we are all energy, and our brain is a huge ball of energy which creates thought. So our thoughts are a magnet for creating stuff, and that's called manifestation. So if we have the power to create things with our thoughts, how can we create what we want? How can we get what we want? That's exactly what we're going to find out today by speaking with somebody who has made a life out of doing just that. But before we get to that,
Time for Lynn's Confessions.
okay, top 3 things on my mind today. Number 1, I'm judging myself because I know how to manifest already, at least intellectually. I've done it before, but why can't I manifest a body that's 12 pounds lighter? Why can't I manifest a walk-in closet or the money to buy another microphone for Advice for Life with Lynn? I really need one. Number 2 on my mind, I'm thinking of things that I truly, really want to manifest, and that would be more centered, be more authentic without worrying if everybody likes me. And finishing a children's book I started writing 5 years ago. Not kidding. I still haven't written the ending because I'm worried that the ending won't be good enough. It's kind of sick. And number 3 on my mind today, I'm really digging my hair color. I just got my highlights done. And oh my gosh, I don't care how superficial it is. I love a good color session. Yes, I'm not a natural blonde. Shocking, I know. Anyway, that's it. Okay, so let's get to it. Today's guest is Jill Rappaport. She is the founder of Soaring Eagle Yoga. She's a personal spiritual coach, and she's an expert at manifestation.
Background check.
The background on Jill is really interesting. She was in the corporate world for a long time. She had a nice salary. She had a lot of power, traveled 50% of the time. She was also married to somebody who was just as focused as running up the corporate ladder as she was, traveling about 50% of the time as well. When she realized she was missing too much of her young daughter's life, she made some major changes. After 5 years of marriage, she divorced. She left her corporate job, including her nice car and her nice house, and started a whole new life with way less money, but a clear focus on what she wanted. And that was to live an authentic life of contribution, she calls it. And we're going to find out from her what that means. Jill now does some incredible work. She helps people transform their suffering. She helps them elevate their consciousness, we'll explain that, and connect with their own missions. Basically, she helps them step out of their old story they've been telling themselves for years, like I'm not good enough, I'm fat, ugly, whatever, and creates a new story and a meaningful life. And that's magic. I can't wait to hear how she does that. She does this one-on-one, then she does it with groups and also at schools. And one of the coolest things she does is something called sound bowl meditation. I call it drugs without drugs. She created this unique technique that lets you clear out your gunk. I feel like it's black stuff inside of us, and aligns your chakras, those points of energy in our body, to help you get centered and clear, which is great for manifestation. You got to clear the palate. She also helps people transform through energy healing, shamanic energy medicine. I still don't understand what that is. She'll explain. And soul integration. A huge change from her life in the corporate world, right? Welcome, Jill. I'm so glad you're here. You're like the teacher of all things about creation.
I'm so glad to be here, Lynn. And I'm so excited for what you are creating.
Oh, Jill is so sweet. She gives the best hugs and kisses, and she's always about the other person. And I love that about you. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about you so we can learn about ourselves. So when I think about you and your story, I'm just amazed because, the corporate world doesn't sound so bad. You had a nice job. You said you had a secretary, a salary. A lot of people have stressful jobs and maybe they don't have everything they want and they don't get up and quit or they don't change their whole life. What exactly in you, made you want to make a total and complete change? Was there one moment or what was it?
Well, there was a series of moments. And I listen to the way that the universe speaks. And I know when things come down in threes, it's time for me to pay attention. So I was working in the international publishing world, and many people around me were suffering from nervous breakdowns, broken marriages, addictions. I mean, it was really on the surface, a fast-paced, glamorous life with expense accounts and, airlines and meetings and deals and publicity. And underneath that was a tremendous amount of suffering and pressure with no way to alleviate that. So I began to integrate into my management of the magazines the trainings that I had started to attend and to incorporate into my own life, which was neurolinguistic psychology and the technology of ontology, which is all about how to tap into being.
So you were doing that stuff already.
So,
and also working in the publishing world, and you saw the chaos, so you were trying to bring that into. What three things you said were happening?
The three things were this. I was putting together a deal with a large publishing firm in Mexico, Grupo Expansión. I was the group publisher of Zoom Media Group at the time. There were three magazines. And the deal, I was in Mexico. The deal was being solidified. It was me and a bunch of guys around a table. We took a break. My cell phone rang. It was my daughter's school. She was in 4th grade at the time. There was an incident that happened, and she was very upset. And they said, "You got to come pick up your daughter. She's really upset." And, of course, I'm in Mexico City. Her father was in Brazil.
Oh, my.
And my parents, who live here, but they're really active, they were also out of town. So the only thing that I could do was call my nanny and say, "Mari, please hurry up, go to the school. I don't know what's happened. Something's happened to Sarah." And that left my heart so heavy. And I returned back to the meeting. We finished the meeting. The deal was done. And I went to the airport in Mexico. The Mexico City airport back in those days, I don't know what it's like now, was
still
like
hideous. Trust me, I've been there recently.
There was like a fiesta going on. It's a market, and there were, people running around. And,
chickens, yeah.
Yeah,
That's what it's
chickens
like.
and all sorts. And also the music was playing. All this Spanish music, like Guantanamera and De Colores, and all these songs were playing. And I'm sitting, waiting to board my flight. One song in English comes on. One song. And it was Harry Chapin's the Cats in the Cradle song.
Oh, that song makes me cry just even saying the title. Cats in the Cradle. And well, Dad, I don't have time for you. You don't have time for me. How sad. Yes.
Yes,
Did
exactly.
you start crying?
I was like, oh my God.
You suck as a mother. Not even there for my kid.
When you coming home, Mom?
Yeah.
I don't know when,
God.
but we'll get together then.
Actually-
Mommy, when are you coming home? I don't know, baby. I'll be home soon.
Actually, I think the song says Daddy, but yeah.
It's Daddy.
But
It's
you were
Daddy.
Mommy.
When are you coming home, Dad? I don't know when, but we'll get together then.
Yes.
And then finally, when the dad is older and he's calling his son, and he's like, son, you know, when can I see you and your children? He's, I don't know, Dad.
Yep,
the
I'm
kids
busy.
have the flu. My new job is a hassle, but it's sure been nice talking to you.
Right.
And
You got it.
I got it. I sat on the airplane and I worked out this plan that how I was going to come back, talk to the CEO of the publishing company and say, I need to reorganize my life because I'm pretending like this job is my entire life. And it isn't. I'm a single mother and I want to be my daughter's mother. And there's other things. There's other contribution that I want to make to society in general. So I came back the next day, the very next day, I had a meeting.
Is this the third thing that made you
No,
realize?
the third thing was that before I had left for Mexico, a friend's 7-year-old son came down with something and they found this brain tumor. And they flew this child everywhere, all the top places, and there was nothing that could be done. When I got back from Mexico, the child had passed away. So I realized I'm living my life like I have a million tomorrows. When is tomorrow going to come?
So
you know,
you had-
all these things that you say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do
Right.
this, I'm going to do this.
So the first thing that happened was the child had passed away. Second thing that happened, the clue was your daughter had an incident and you couldn't be there because you're in another country. And the third was Cats in the Cradle. There's no time for nothing. Okay, so you got it. You're on the airport. In the airplane. Change my life.
Yes, I've got to change my life, and there's no more tomorrows.
What did you do?
I mustered up all my courage. I was shaking and sweating. I went to meet with the CEO, and I made this proposal. And it was a woman. She had just come in, and she said, you see, this one works until 2 a.m. That one works until 3 a.m. This one is on the... And I was the chief of the whole gang. No, you can't do that.
So the ball was in your court.
So I just heard this voice, give your notice.
Wow. No planning.
No plan. And I said, I'm giving you a 1-month notice and I'll help you transition and find somebody else to run this.
When the words were coming out of your mouth.
When the words were coming
Yeah,
out of
could
my
you-
move, there was something in the back of my mind going, oh my God.
Yeah, of
You don't have a
course.
plan. What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
course.
You have all these bills. You have this house. Don't have any alimony. Blah, blah, blah.
Did you have child support at least?
I had child
Okay.
support.
So your daughter can eat. You, on the other
child
hand,
support.
cat food for Jill.
Yeah, and he was very good about taking care of things that she needed.
Okay, so that's good.
So that was good. However, I had this house on Anastasia near the Biltmore Hotel and a really nice car, and I had all the-
Miami, Florida.
and so then I left. And I went home and I told my daughter that I was going to be around more. And I started to make the changes. I let go of my nanny, which she was very happy because her son had 2 babies and they kept begging her to come and take care of his babies.
Wow.
So she was happy.
Was your daughter thrilled?
My daughter was absolutely thrilled. We started to do our own laundry and cook our own meals.
Imagine
and
that.
Yes. and then I was also a scout leader with someone at the University of Miami. We were co-scout leaders, and I had a meeting with my Girl Scout troop, and I told them, I made this announcement. I said what I had done, and one of the little girls said, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "Well, I really don't know." And
can you help me?
And she said, "How about if you teach yoga?"
Oh my
Now,
gosh.
P.S. I had been a yogi for a while,
Okay.
a long time, and I
A
had
student.
been a student,
Okay.
yes, a practitioner. And I had been teaching them yoga and meditation for years. And we were like a little community, this family of Girl Scouts and their parents. And so that was fine. So I said to her, "Well, I can teach you guys." She even said, "We love it when you teach us yoga." That's what she said. "We love it when
This
you
kid's
teach us
what,
yoga."
7, 5?
Somewhere,
Jeez.
8.
The wise old age of 8. Okay.
Yes. 8, 9.
Okay.
And I said, "But I'm not certified to teach other people."
What am I going to do, little girl?
And she said, "Well, Miss Rappaport, can't you get certified?"
Oh my God. You're like, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah. And I was like, this light bulb went on. Bing.
Okay.
And I said, "Well, yeah, I guess I can." Wow. Thank you so much, Allison. And so then the next day I looked online and I found a course that would fit into my schedule, and I registered into it.
And today you'd like to thank Allison from the bottom of your
I
heart for
wanted
telling you
to
to
thank Allison from the bottom of my heart. And that led to a whole other.
But before we get into the other things that led into, tell me, I remember coming to you for some energy cleaning, and you said, I was always fascinated with your story. And I remember you telling me one time, Lynn, it wasn't that easy. I had a car. I was somebody. I mean, tell me what was difficult about that.
I was somebody. I walked into the building. I was the boss. I had a secretary. I had a marketing team, a research team, an editorial staff, a creative team. I was, a rainmaker, an amazing rainmaker. I loved going out and finding consensus and creating these deals.
What's a rainmaker? You actually created rain or money?
Money.
Make it rain.
Made it rain
Okay.
for the publishing company.
Huh.
And all of a sudden, then I sold my house on Anastasia Avenue. We used to wave to President Clinton when he would drive by because he always stayed at the Biltmore Hotel. I sold my house on Anastasia. I sold my car. I got a Honda Accord. I had never had a Honda before.
What were you driving before?
I was driving
a helicopter?
A helicopter. I was driving a little sports car, 300ZX, and I had, these nice cars. And I had my mommy Volvo car.
Oh. You were loaded.
And now I had a smaller house, which at the time I thought was a really tiny house. Later,
You called it a dump.
Yeah.
You told me you thought it was a dump.
I thought it was a dump.
And let me tell you, for everybody listening, it's not a dump. It's a beautiful house in Coral Gables, but okay, I hear you.
Later, I realized how beautiful it was, but in my mind, I had failed in some way, and so also the conditioning of the status symbol. Mm-hmm. Here I am on Anastasia in this beautiful home, beautiful deco home with a fireplace, and all these.
Got to keep up with keeping up. Yeah,
got to keep up with the Joneses. Now I'm driving a Honda Accord, and I was invited to go to one of my networking functions, and I will never forget this experience that I drove, and I thought, I can't pull up and valet my Honda car.
It was hard for you.
I actually parked down the street. And all the while in the back of my head, I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
This doesn't matter. But it was like there was this.
Your ego is attached to your
car. My ego was
I get
attached to my car, was attached to the symbols of success. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden, I have no secretary, I have no maid, I have no nanny, I have no nice car, I have no
Anastasia.
No Anastasia, I have no title, no. Oh my gosh, what am I?
So what were you?
So, and when I walked in, when I walked into this function,
Sweaty because you walked a block.
yeah, because I walked a block, everybody said, these were some of my people from advertising and publishing, and they all looked at me and they said, wow, you look 10 years younger. What are you doing?
Not working for you.
And I had taken on my yoga practice full time, and I was in my yoga teacher training, and I had brought my life into alignment with what my true values were. I was organizing myself in alignment with what was most important to me and what I felt my heart was calling for me to do. And I realized that was the true success. That was the true source of why I looked younger. I felt vibrant. I felt so proud of my choices. And
You were doing what you wanted to do without pleasing others, judgment from yourself. You were aligned. Were you able to pay your bills?
well, fortunately, I was quite a saver. So I saved all my entire working life. And I started working when I was young. I mean, 13, 14. And I had been working all those years and always was saving money. So I had quite
And your
a
husband
bit.
didn't get it, so that's good. Because
Right.
many times in a divorce, it's
Yeah, well, the divorce, that's another story. That was a very expensive endeavor, very expensive for him and for me. And even with paying for all of those bills, I still had a good amount of savings. So
Did you have to dip into that?
I did.
Okay.
I did have to dip into that. I did. And I dipped into that as I needed for a long time. Yeah.
But for those listening, maybe somebody's going through something similar and doesn't have any savings. You were able to buy a house. Maybe if you didn't have anything, you would rent an apartment.
Yes.
There's still a way. So did you say, this is what I want to create. This is my goal. What did you want to manifest and how did you do it?
Well, I wanted to manifest a life that was meaningful to me, where I was making a contribution to those who were also on the path of wanting to bring their lives into alignment with their missions, with their, as I always say, that I want to be a vehicle for myself and others to be their essence expressed in the world. And the way that my own new career, new life manifested was really in stages. I did not actually know exactly what I was going to do. I was just following the next step and the next step and the next step. And I created a mission statement for my life.
Which was?
The purpose of my life is to be full heart and full soul expressed, and to lovingly assist others to be their full heart.
Well, if you don't get the Nobel Peace Prize for that, then nobody will. Because you are Saint Jill. That sounds so... So if we could take that to the rest of us regular people, is that the first step for us to manifest? Come up with a mission statement, follow your inner voice?
The first step is to recognize, what are you tolerating? What are you tolerating in your life? And where are you acting not in alignment with what's really on your insides?
What does that mean?
So where are you living in a pretense? Where are you
Faking it?
faking it? Exactly. Where are you faking it?
That's
And
the keeping up.
Exactly.
That's the trying to portray a certain image. That's the, this is just the way it is. Okay. So number one, recognize where you're faking it.
where you're faking it. So you just want to recognize it for yourself. Recognize where you're faking it and recognize what are you tolerating. And actually sit down and make a list of it.
Be a long list for me, but okay,
Yeah,
I'll get some paper.
It was a long list for me as well.
Okay.
And then you want to ask yourself, what do I want my life to be about?
Now remember, this is part 1 of manifestation. Stick around for part 2. It's awesome. Thank you again so much, Jill. My gosh, we could spend another hour with you. You can find Jill Rappaport everywhere. You can find her at her website, jillrappaport.com. Again, you can also pick up her training manual. It's awesome. Yogi Yoga, which brings stress management and self-awareness tools to learn how to bring mindfulness and yoga to teachers, parents, children, and schools. Also, submit your questions to adviceforlifewithlynn.com. You can check out my blog as well. It's got stuff from some of the top experts in the field. Also, rate my podcast on iTunes. Tell me how I'm doing and tell me how you're manifesting, because I'm going to manifest some good feedback. Thanks for listening, everybody, and I'll see you next time. And remember, there is nothing we can't talk about. This is Advice for Life with Lynn, Season 1, Episode 5, Part 2. Today's issue, how to manifest what you want.
Well, Miss Rappaport, can't you get certified?
Oh my God. You're like, why didn't I think of that? This is such a good one. This could be a 2-parter. It's a fatty.
You're listening to Advice for Life with Lynn, an award-winning interviewer and a woman riddled with issues herself, Lynn Martinez. You have problems? She has answers. Getting down to the nitty-gritty with people who know what they're talking about. With the best advice on relationships, career, your body, kids, sex, and everything else in between. This is Advice for Life with Lynn.
The background on Jill is really interesting. She was in the corporate world for a long time. She had a nice salary, she had a lot of power, traveled 50% of the time. She was also married to somebody who was just as focused as running up the corporate ladder as she was, traveling about 50% of the time as well. When she realized she was missing too much of her young daughter's life, she made some major changes. This is the second part.
It's not necessarily that one has to switch one's career, even if you're doing something that you don't feel is the expression of your soul's purpose. One could actually stay exactly in their career and develop other things, create their lives in some way that meets the needs of your true self, your true heart. So the first place is to really take stock.
So first, number 1, to manifest, take a look where you're faking it. Number 2, ask yourself, what do I really want?
What do I really want? Now that is kind of a difficult question. And one way you can, as I learned in neurolinguistic psychology, you can get your mind to give you an answer is by, if part of you says, well, I don't know what I want, then you can say, well, if you did know, what would it be?
Oh, tricking the brain.
Yeah. If you did know, what would it be? Well, I want to be happy. I want to be healthy. I want to have a good relationship with my children.
Okay, which leads to step 3. How do we get that?
Yeah. So then this third step is you actually begin to state what it is that you want. And you can state this in all areas of your life or in some areas of your life. Beginning to actually make those statements, those intentions, is the first act of creation.
Ah, okay. So the third step is to make a mission statement. What is that?
A mission or a purpose statement. So that is something that, and you may actually want to get help from a friend or even professional help from a professional coach or somebody who can lead you through an inquiry and a process to get this out.
Why would you need help from anybody to find out what your mission statement is? Let's say you want, like you just said, it's a very vague thing, but I want to be a better mother, right? That's number 2. What do you want? I want to be a better mother. So your mission statement would be, what would that look like as an example?
Yes, that is a good example. So the reason that you would want somebody to help you, you can do this inquiry all yourself, and you could actually even go online. You can pull down guides to creating life purpose statements, mission statements, and start to investigate on your own. And we tend to live so much in the endless loop of our thoughts that sometimes it is helpful to have another person who's already been there. As one of my teachers says, the journey of 1,000,000 miles can be shortened into a few miles if you have a guide who can say, oh, this is the way. So it can be extremely helpful. It can save you time and angst and money, and to be able to have somebody facilitate.
So what would a mission statement be like for somebody who said, in general, I want to be a better mother?
Yeah. So the first thing is that there's certain characteristics of having a mission statement. The first thing is that you want it to be something about who you are, and not necessarily what you are doing in the world. So,
because let me just explain to our listeners, Jill is of the belief, and me as well, you be, do, have in that order, right?
Right.
Be, do, have. So how does that pertain to the mission statement, be, do, have?
So the first thing is that the way that we actually truly create is by focusing on the ultimate being. I want to be happy. Or so it's being happy, peaceful, centered, healthy. And from creating that would then emerge what you might do.
Okay. So I want to be happy, or I want to be connected with my kids, let's just say. So what do I need to do that?
Right.
And then I will have that.
Exactly.
So the mission statement has the be, do, have in it?
The mission statement would have the be part of it for sure.
So let's do a mission statement example.
So the do have may not be a part of it.
Right.
So, and the be can be stated as an I am.
Oh, okay.
An I am, almost like an affirmation.
I am connected to my kids.
Exactly.
That's a mission statement.
Yes.
Okay.
I am who I am is connected to my kids. I am connected to my children. I am connected to my inner wisdom. I am connected to my heart.
So are these the steps to manifestation are there only 3? Then after the mission statement comes what?
Then after that, then you begin to create a support system. So you want to have friends, groups, family. You want to share what you're up to. You want to share what you're creating. Because we cannot do these things alone.
We need cheerleaders.
We need cheerleaders.
What if not everybody's a cheerleader in your life going, what is a mission statement? You're weird.
Yeah. What is a mission statement or what is a life purpose statement? Yeah. Then you explain it.
Or you move on.
Okay. Or you don't talk to that person. You want to find groups,
you know what I call it,
organizations.
Jill? I think we all have a board of directors, and we're at the head, and certain people sit at our table. To me, that's a support system. Is that what you're talking about?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So, and actually, at this time for me in my life, one of the people that I thought would have an objection to me leaving my career was my father, who's a very successful surgeon. And he was really supportive. He saw that I too was going down the path of having a nervous breakdown, and my daughter really needed me.
So that was great validation, sharing that with him. Wow.
And it was a shock. So people may show up for you in a way that you don't expect them to. So begin to share and gather yourself with like-minded people. Mm-hmm. And there are many organizations. So I spent many years, part of why I got the courage to actually make this change is I was also involved with landmark education, which is all about ontological distinctions and teaching you how to tap into different ways of being. Ontological is about being. It's the study of being.
Wow. Who knew?
It's the study of being. And then my neurolinguistic psychology led me to working with Tony Robbins, and I did all of his amazing.
So there you're building your board of directors table.
Building my board of directors table. Communities who are in the conversation and in the flow of supporting authentic,
your mission statement,
mission-driven living.
But what about the people in your life? Do they just go by the fray who were in the corporate world? Like, I'm sure you still had some friends who were not into being or mission statements or eating granola. So what did you do with them? They just sort of go away, or
so some of them stayed in my life. Mm-hmm. Some of them are in my life to this day.
I see.
And their lives have evolved.
I see.
And changed. And then many of them just went by the wayside because now there's no structure for me to be in connection with them unless I make some sort of concerted effort. And so and there are many of my clients and the companies that I worked with that actually stayed connected with me. And then it's okay. It's okay to have some people show up for a season and a reason, and some people show up for longer. It's okay to allow this flow in your life and honor the gift of that relationship for whatever it was and release it. So there's an actual trusting in a way of the law of attraction, which you mentioned in the very beginning. As our thoughts become really a part of our entire, we are like a radio signal going out into the universe and into the community, into the world, and bringing back to us that which is at the same vibration, at the same signal. And so fall away.
Right.
And the people that are going to come into our lives.
We'll have to do a whole nother podcast on law of attraction because it really is fantastic. But exactly what you just said. Like attracts like. What you have in your thought is what you create. So just to repeat, your recipe for manifestation is check your thoughts, basically check what you're faking. Mm-hmm. Number 2, ask yourself, what do I want? That may take a little time. Number 3, come up with a mission statement, a purpose that you want for yourself. Don't be afraid to engage or enlist some help. And system, look for people who are thinking like you, who are on the same vibration. Does this also work with, for example, honestly, truly, Jill, I deserve and need a walk-in closet. I live in a small house here, and I'm very grateful, and I've sort of made one little closet, sort of walk in. One person can go in standing, but like, even though it's superficial or it's materialistic, how can I manifest something like that? Do I need to go through all these steps? What am I faking? What do I want? My mission statement?
Mm-mm. So I will give you an example. I live in a home now. I sold that home.
Congratulations.
That home that really
the dump that you thought it was. It was beautiful. Yes.
A beautiful spiritual place. And I cut out pictures of where I would like to live. And I also knew that I was ready to bring in a relationship that matched my values and matched my journey in life, my journey of contribution to the world. And I brought that relationship in. And then came the time to create, where are we going to live?
So in other words, you had a boyfriend. You had a great guy. Okay.
Fabulous guy.
Okay.
Wonderful guy.
And you're ready to
So
move in
happy.
together in your spiritual house. Okay.
Yes, we're ready to move in
and
together.
you cut out pictures first. So
I had actually cut out pictures months before, maybe even a year before, because
Before you met him?
Yes, I knew I was going to be making a transition. I knew that it was going to be time for me to make a transition, to move. And so I started to dream about, well, what would I want? Mm-hmm. And then I cut pictures out. And when I was moving, I discovered in a box, I have this box that says dream, and it has a bird on top of it. It's really a beautiful box with flowers in it. And I opened up that box and I found all these pictures of what I wanted to create. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
Is the house just like what you picked out?
Yes.
So
it's hard. In particular, I have exactly what I wanted. What I wanted.
So you're saying cut out pictures to help your mind visualize, and it will come to you.
Yes. And there is a road to go along for that manifestation. So to actually materialize in the world. There may be obstacles that then show up, which are obstacles in your path to getting what you want.
They're not really obstacles, they're there for a reason.
They're there for a reason. So the universe says, okay, you want a walk-in closet, or you want a home with a pool, then something is going to show up that's going to call your attention to what's in your way of having it, and it's time for you to deal with that.
And sometimes we can't even make like in this little studio of ours that we're recording now. Okay, I have this tiny little vision board. It's so small. And if I would take the time to ask myself why it's not even a board. I don't even know what it is. It's like a list of things. I think I'm afraid to ask what I want, or even like take a second, like, oh, this might work. This might be fabulous. I might be fabulous. I might not. They might find out I'm not fabulous. So I'm afraid. So I won't. I'll just do a little bit. So maybe that also comes into play with not just me, other people. Like allow yourself. Well, ask yourself if you want to receive, if you want to manifest, and if you do truly, then do it. If you don't, then don't, because you have the power. I got the power.
Yes, and as Nelson Mandela and Marianne Williamson, those very famous quotes, it's not your darkness that you are really afraid of. It's your light.
Yes,
it's
Marianne. I know. It's so true. No, it is true.
And so that goes for all of us. And there's always, in all of us, there's some place of unworthiness or some subconscious beliefs in not deserving. And so then when you do create an intention or a vision board or a collage of some reality that you want to create, will be the parts of you that object to that
and doubt it
and are afraid of it that come up. And inside of your heart's true intentions, then you'll be guided to the work that will assist you in healing the wounding that gave rise to those limiting beliefs.
That's deep stuff, but so true. So like the wounds from childhood that tell us we're not good enough, and
the cultural conversations, the things that our parents or our grandparents said, about what women are supposed to do or what men are supposed to do or what you are supposed to do or not supposed to do. In our family, it's this. And, it's just so pervasive. And so that's part of this journey. That is part of this journey of creating a reality. Then there are specific actions that you need to take.
Okay.
So once you decide that you are willing and ready to live a life of authenticity and purpose.
In other words, do what you want.
Do what you want. In other words, do what you want. Then it's time to actually make an action plan and take steps. And that is also something that you can do with a coach or a friend or a spiritual counselor. And that's
the doing. Once you decide to be, then you can do.
Yeah. So for me, it was sell my house, sell my car, consolidate my finances, put a little money aside so that I could give myself, the time that I needed to make this transition, register into my yoga teacher training, explore the things that I may want to do. So then I train myself and I sought out classes. So then you may wind up taking classes or creating other specific activities and actions that will move you toward the path.
So once you decide you deserve to live the life you want, number 2, make an action plan, which can also include a vision board, but also doing things like selling your house or doing. It's the doing.
Yeah, I resigned.
Okay.
I resigned.
So just to reiterate, the things that we went over, the faking business, that's more of when we are considering manifestation, we can go through these 4 steps. See what we're faking. Number 2, ask ourselves what we want. Number 3, make a mission statement, your purpose. Number 4, create a support system. Correct? This is like class. Who's ever listening and has a pen. And number 2, when you decide, okay, now this is like phase 2. You decide, I deserve to live the life I want. Then 2, make an action plan. Take action, do. Can every single person manifest?
Absolutely. And we do it all the time.
Without even knowing.
Without even knowing it.
So can I tell you, I do, and I don't know how I do. And I would like to know how, but I guess we just need to be more aware. For example, a couple of years ago, I was on vacation with my family in DC and visiting my sister for spring break. And I get a call from the TV station and they said, hey, do you want to interview President Obama? I had no makeup. I was on vacation. I thought it was a joke. I had to call them back and they said, yeah, in the White House in the map room, he picked certain, 3 TV stations and you happen to be there. And, can you be there tomorrow? And this is the time. And I was flipping out. I'm like, yes. So anyway, I went to CVS, my makeup, whatever. They sent me some clothes. My sister helped me with writing, coming up with questions and stuff. Anyway, so I interviewed President Obama in the White House, one-on-one.
Lynn. Oh.
It was one of the coolest experiences of my career. I walked away with the microphone still on me and almost had a wardrobe malfunction, but that's a whole nother story. And he was laughing. Oh, we don't want a wardrobe malfunction. Pretty funny. But anyway, my point is I went and told one of my gurus, therapist, but she's a guru. I love her. Just like you, you're a guru. And she said, well, how do you think you manifested that, Lynn? And I was like, I don't know. I guess I was feeling I was feeling good at work. Up until then, I always wanted to be somebody else at work. I wanted a different job, feel good enough. And I think I actually felt good enough. But I don't know. I would like to know how I manifested that. So what is the key to know? And that's a good manifestation. I'm certain I manifested negative things too. How can we be aware of what we're creating?
Well, there's this saying, when preparation meets opportunity, that's when things actually manifest. So all along, you had been probably somewhere in your mind or your heart saying to yourself, I want to interview, major people in the world. I want to sit in front of the President of the United States.
Even subconsciously. Like, I don't remember thinking this consciously.
Or as you were stepping more into your role as a personality on television and hosting these programs where you were interviewing people, there was a confidence within you that allowed you to keep rising to the level of not only individual, but the level of public that would be listening to you. So as you were growing in your capacities, there was something within you that was ready. Sometimes the universe or it was like the universe sometimes says, this is for you.
Okay, so
that's and you get to choose yes or no. Just like for me, I was sitting in that, I was in the meeting, the call came in, I was in the airport, that song came on in the middle of all the Spanish music. I was listening, and in that moment, the universe was saying to me, this is your time. Do you want to stick with this, or this is your time?
So is that what's called things just happen, or by chance?
It is more than by chance. It's more than coincidence. In fact, coincidence is actually a mathematical. It's when two things coincide. And that isn't by accident. So many times there are opportunities that show up that are gifts from from what I say is the divine intelligence in the universe, because there is a force of evolution that is pushing us upward.
And giving us a chance to pop up. Do you want to pop up? I see. Grow.
So even with all of the darkness that is happening in the world, there is a force that is moving us as a species, as a toward peaceful, sustainable
walk-in closets.
Walk-in closets. And living. And so that is an example. What happened to you was an example of a dream that you hadn't even dreamed for yourself.
Consciously.
Yeah. However, you were ready for it, and the universe offered it up to you, and you stepped into the yes.
Okay. I could have said that.
Something in your heart said yes. You weren't prepared. You didn't have the stuff. And something in your heart said yes.
True. So I was going to ask you, do some things just happen, or is everything manifested?
Yes, some things absolutely just happen. And especially now, for many of us, me, you, and all of the listeners who wind up listening to this podcast, there may be some greater future calling to you that's beyond our ability to imagine right now. And then a door is going to fly open as we say no to the things we're tolerating, or no to the places where we're faking it. We open ourselves up to another space where that which is truly in alignment with us will be able to show up. So the doors that open, you can feel, if your heart goes that way, if it elevates you, then move toward it. And there may be a future that's beyond what we can imagine right now.
Wow, that's deep. Wow, that was great. Good stuff, man. Right, Phil? Good stuff. All right. So, Jill, thank you so much. We got a buttload from you. I don't know if we can say it. Thank you so much, Jill, for being here. My gosh, this was like a series. Okay, to sum it up in today's advice for life, get clear on what you want. Find out what you're faking. Ask yourself what you want. Make a mission statement, purpose statement, and then create a support system, which can be an action plan. And remember, manifest what you want. You got the power. You can find Jill Rappaport at her website, jillrappaport.com. By the way, it's not like the actress. It's Rapperport. You can also pick up her training manual, Yogi Yoga, which brings stress management and self-awareness tools to learn how to bring mindfulness and yoga to teachers, parents, children, and schools. And you can also check out her website, soaringeagleyoga.com. I feel like doing a downward dog now. All right. For more on all of this, go to my website at adviceforlifewithlynn.com. You can check out my blog as well. It's got stuff, great stuff. Talks about exactly what we've been talking about today. Manifest that. And submit questions to adviceforlifewithlynn.com. That's FOR, not the number 4. I don't know why I feel like I keep needing to tell you that. But anyway, it's adviceforlifewithlynn.com. I love my website. Look at it. Sign up for my free email. You'll get the latest tips and advice, and rate my podcast on iTunes. Tell me how I'm doing. I think. Thanks for listening. And remember, there is nothing we can't talk about.